Good morning, everyone. This is Mike Grubbs with the American Realty, and one of my favorite things to do is to teach people how to plant things and make them live here in Florida, Georgia, wherever it may be in the Southeast. When you buy that new home, you always want to put out a tomato plant or some other gardening items. So here's a step-by-step to give you a heads up and a head start on how to keep your tomato plants alive in a planter on your lanai. First step is to make sure your soil is amended and loosened up so that it's aerated so the roots of the tomato plant can grow. I recommend doing something like a EB Stone Organic Sure Start, and on this size planter I just simply put about a palm full in there, and then we're going to mix that in, like I said, to loosen up the soil, to aerate it. And that's going to give the roots of each plant a great start on producing for you. The next step, after I've added the EB Stone Sure Start, is I always grab about a handful of non-burning 6,4-0 type fertilizer, and you put that in and mix it in as well. The reason we do that is so that when the hole is dug and the roots are planted, it has something to feed on. So maybe a fistful right into the mix of the soil, and just amend it, till it up, and get ready to put your holes into the planter so that everything can grow well. It's a very simple process, but this is very important because most people take the plant straight out of the container, put it in soil, and 3 or 4 weeks later they wonder why it hasn't grown any. And then you see your neighbor's plants 3 or 4 feet higher. Well, this is the reason. You have to amend the soil and aerate the soil and prep it before you plant. So the next step I would recommend is, this is a Bonnie plant. It's a Better Boy hybrid tomato. That's my favorite. What a lot of people don't do is this very important step here. You see all these little sucker stems that are coming off of the base of the stem here? If you plant that in the ground and bury the dirt up to about right here, that's just going to allow the plant not to grow taller. It's going to get a big root ball, and all these stems are going to try to grow legs. And that's going to keep your tomatoes from growing large and getting done on time. So the next step is to look at the plant, take out all these little, what I call twigs or sucker plants, get them off of the main base stem before planting into your planter. This will help your plant tremendously absorb the nutrients it needs to grow beautiful tomatoes. So we're going to make sure this is all leveled off. It looks good to me. I'm going to put one plant over to the corner. I'm simply going to take the digging implement and pull back the soil, not too deep. I'm going to roll my hands around this plant to loosen up the soil and root ball so that when I take this out, it'll come out as one. Like that. Then you want to take your hands and crumble up the root ball, because if you do not, it'll just stay in a ball and will not grow. So then you just simply take and mash down. Do not plant it too deep. Make sure that the top of the soil bed is equivalent to what was in the pot. If you bury it up too high, like to that first stem, I never have had good luck with that. So I'm just going to tell you from my experience, that is the perfect plant. Now that I'm on my second plant, I want to make sure they're both tall and straight, packed in fairly nicely. Also, just so you'll know, these plants had recently been watered, so the root ball was moist going into the soil. That is another very important thing that a lot of people don't do. You don't want to overwater, but you want it moist when you plant it. So now I'm simply going to find me a stake, put this in the planter so that it'll have something to grow up against. I'm going to water this in lightly today, and about every 2 days I will water it again as needed. If you see the leaves not looking this green and vibrant, it might need a little shot of water. Here in Ormond Beach, Florida, it's 95 degrees. in the summertime, so I may have to hit this once a day in the middle of summer. But normally about every 2 days would suffice. I hope this has helped you. I hope you have nothing but enjoyment with your plantings outside in Florida. Go enjoy the day.